Warning: some content discussed in this podcast can be triggering to survivors of sexual assault and difficult to hear. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Redemption Podcast with your hosts, Staci
and Julia.
Welcome to episode 2 of Redemption. Today, our guest is our co-host, Julia Barnett. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you, Staci. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited today about this episode. We've been working together for a little while, but I really don't know all of your story. And I'm really interested in learning how you even got here. So thank you so much for going to share today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Excited to share. First and foremost, we never really ever shared with our audience what our titles are or what our roles are with My House. So
you're correct.
Yeah, in the first episode, we never did that. Maybe people just know who you are, but I am the project manager for My House's newest business/job training program called Redemption, which kind of coincides with the podcast name. And the business/training program is going to be designed for clients who are survivors of trafficking, and that it will work in unison with the treatment and recovery services offered through your program, Staci. So
right. And my title here at My House, I am the Director of Human Trafficking Recovery Services. So I work with youth who have been sex trafficked and help them find stable housing. We do trauma therapy for them, job training, school completion, and basically just surround them with services that help them heal and help them go on in their lives. So I'm excited about Redemption.
Yeah, very. And the job training aspect of it that will kind of couple with, you know, the healing services that you're offering, it's going to be designed to empower them with employable skills that will transfer to multiple industries and hopefully even serve as a creative outlet for them in their healing journey.
Exactly.
So
it's going to be so powerful.
Yes. The Redemption Project, we'll call it for now, is in its very early stages of development. So That's pretty much as far as we're going to go with sharing that at this point. But again, really excited about the empowering skills training combined with the wraparound treatment services. I think it's going to be magic.
Before we get into more of Julia's story, Isaac, do we have any housekeeping items today?
Yes, we absolutely do, guys. First of all, what is my title? Like, can I be like the Senior Executive Director of Podcasting or something like that?
Absolutely.
I want a cool title, too.
I think that's appropriate.
I think my business card just says Production Manager. I want to be like Senior Vice Executive President of everything. No, we have lots of stuff going on here around the building. First order of business at the boutique. We've been kind of talking about it for a little bit now. They are doing the grand reopening this Saturday. From 10 to 3, tons of remodels have been done in there. Everything's looking super great. And the reason that grand reopening is on Saturday is because now they are excited to announce that they are going to be open every Saturday from 10 to 3. So
if you come on the weekends when you're not working, when you can finally take a break from work.
When you finally can come to go shopping, right, on the weekends. So, yeah, that's super awesome. Super excited for all of them. On the I guess one more thing in building is the screening that was going to happen today, the 11th, for Sexual Violence Awareness Day. That has been pushed back 2 Fridays. It is now on the 25th of March. We are still screening the hunting ground in the cafe lobby. Everything's totally free. Come in, get yourself some food. That's not free, but $5 baked potatoes. Those are, have you had the baked potatoes yet?
Those are awesome. Yes, I've been loving those.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. So yeah,
Cafe's
grab yourself a baked potato, watch a
it.
movie. Yeah. On the podcast side of things, lots of new episodes out this week. The first episode of My Voice dropped last week. I was super excited about that. That sounded great. Episodes 2 of My House Podcast and Diagnonsense out now and available. And man, it seems crazy because it feels like we just started, but episode 3 of the My House Podcast and episode 2 of My Voice dropping next week. So yeah, just tons of stuff here as we continue to just churn out content like it's going out of style.
Wow. So exciting. Well,
Keep it up, Vice President.
Yeah, Vice Executive President.
Commissioner Isaac.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Isaac. Okay. So, Julia, please tell us, how did you get started with My House? How did you start this journey?
Well, Staci, it feels like not that long ago, but I guess it kind of is. I originally started with My House 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm not that old, so this kind of gives you some context. I started at My House when I was 13.
13, really?
My grandmother, Patty, who is now the admin assistant extraordinaire here.
We love
I
Patty.
know Patty.
We
I
love
just saw Patty out in the
Patty,
office.
we
so
love
I'm
you,
into work.
Patty.
She brought me into, she's my best friend.
Right.
And I was just tagging along with her. She brought me into one of the public meetings that was happening here. And I just remember, I don't really know how it all kind of started. I just started hanging out, started volunteering, and they couldn't hire me at the time because I wasn't 13. But by the time I was 14, all I remember was that I was officially working in the boutique, helping Kira start Steam Driven Boutique with my childhood best friend, Nadia Mecatrina. Shout out to Nadia. And I was a designer and sales associate.
Oh.
And I still have my business cards.
Do you?
From when I was 14 years old, helping Kira start the boutique. And it was, it was a third of the size. And I remember just bare bones. We were sharing space with the outreach stuff and the food storage units that we had as well. And I was just going through clothes and bags and learning how to tag items, learning about different brands, running a POS system, the whole thing. And so today, to look at the boutique today, where it's, more than doubled in size, it's immaculate. The current manager is doing a fabulous job with the place.
Yes.
Tanya, she's phenomenal. It's just, I could not be more proud. I feel like a super proud mom.
Yeah.
So that's how I originally got started with My House, was working in the boutique and helping to get that started. And then, life happened. I moved and worked various jobs throughout high school. I did a lot of food service jobs. I worked in a spa. I did retail. I did sales. I just loved to work.
Right.
So I liked making my own money, liked staying busy. And school was never really my thing. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I wanted to be when I grew up. So I didn't want to go, graduate high school and then just jump to going to college and not knowing what to do. And more than anything, I just wanted to get out of my mama's house. So the moment I turned 18, I was graduated. I graduated early. I got a job working for Northrim Bank.
Oh.
Shout out.
Yeah.
And I moved out of my mama's house. So straight out of high school, moved into that career. And I will give Northrim Bank major props to with their training and development that they do there. I had an excellent experience with training and development because I knew nothing about money.
Right. Like what
literally
kid does.
Straight out of high
Just straight out
school.
of high school. So, I mean, that's a great life skill to learn.
Yeah. And they had an excellent training program. I learned a lot about sales. I learned a lot about talking to people and uncovering, their needs and et cetera, and giving great customer service. So I worked for Northrim for several years, really loved that career, and then moved to working for the state of Alaska.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I worked for the state of Alaska, and I worked for the Alaska Public Defenders Agency. And then my last career with the state was working for the Regulatory Commission of Alaska, and I was a supervising administrative person there.
Okay. Wow.
So
what made you?
A lot of experience.
So what made you jump to my house?
Well, the Redemption Project has been in the works for several years now.
Okay.
Michelle and I have been talking about it for several years.
Okay.
But it's all about funding, just like with your position.
Right.
You know, you waited 5 years for the funding for a position to start your program. So while I was just, trying to work my way up, in my career and everything, I was actually in the middle of getting ready for an interview for a promotional position at my last job. When I got the call that Project Redemption was a go. So that was kind of crazy because I was really excited about this job that I was applying for. But to come back and get to do my dream job in, helping to develop a new business and training program that is designed to empower, our clients with employable skills and contribute to their healing process, be a creative outlet for their healing process. It's just a dream come true.
Yes, I really, I'm really excited about Redemption Project and us working together, helping these young girls heal and, like you said, get those skills. But it's going to be powerful.
Yeah, it truly is. And the reality of being a part of such a powerful program like this is it truly does make you face your own trauma that you've experienced.
Yes, it does.
And I never thought that I would be in this position, being a podcast host, let alone being a podcast host. But
Right.
While I've never been trafficked, I have been sexually assaulted multiple times throughout my adolescence and early adulthood by men who were all older than me, and some of which were in great positions of power, who I naively trusted when I was very vulnerable and not in a good place in my life with myself. And drugs and alcohol were typically involved.
Yeah.
But I was taken advantage of, exploited, physically hurt, and just left feeling dirty, violated, and completely ashamed of myself and blaming it all on myself, like everything was all my fault. And I still really, really, really struggle with that.
I think a lot of young people struggle with that, especially when it comes to that kind of abuse. We end up blaming ourselves, but we have to understand that it's not our fault. That what they do to us, if it is sexual assault or abuse, we didn't ask for that.
No, I didn't want anything that was done to me.
And
Nothing about that was glamorous or cool
And it's not okay. It's not okay for people to think that they can do that to other people. And so I want to say I'm sorry that happened to you, truly. And I'm sorry it's happened to a lot of people out there. Yeah. But telling your story, but being vulnerable with these pieces of your story, of my story, it helps others to come forward and to speak their truth. And I think that's where we find our power and our healing. That's where we break it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had my stomach has just been upside down because I've never shared any of this publicly, and I have experiences that I have just never told anyone, experiences that I've completely blocked out until recently. One man in particular, I learned, is now in prison for sexual assault charges on another girl. So it's just crazy, and I do feel incredibly brave right now, and I'm glad that I have this platform that I get to share, because it's kind of like its own therapy in itself.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's important for my own healing and recovery process, and for reclaiming my power, my voice, and writing my story, which is all about what redemption means.
Right.
Right?
Yes, it does.
So powerful. It's just, working here at my house is just an absolute dream come true. It's crazy to be full circle, starting at the boutique 10 years ago and then going through all of the various jobs and career paths, and learning so much about training and development, and then getting to transfer it into getting to design and develop a program like this. So, and it's an absolute honor to get to work side by side with you, because you're just, the coolest with. Well,
I don't know about that, but it is a pleasure to work with you too. I really feel like we bonded on some certain issues and things here recently.
Seriously.
And I really think it's going to be powerful. And redemption, the word redemption is powerful, right?
Yep.
Taking something from ashes to beauty, from weakness to strength, from trauma to healed. Redemption. And I've experienced it in my life. You've experienced it. We're going to help others. We're going to help others experience the power of it. And it's an honor to be able to work here, to be able to help others to it's not a job, it's a passion. And I myself feel extremely blessed and lucky to be in this position. And Julia, I just thank you so much for being so vulnerable and open and honest with your story and where you're coming from. And it's darn exciting where we're going.
Yeah. So hopefully if, just me sharing can give anybody out there who's listening some courage to talk to somebody, to tell somebody. If something happened to you and you don't talk about it, or you don't open up about it, it translates into, just trauma that you hold on to your whole life.
I held on to mine for decades. I didn't have that safe person in my life, that adult, that relative, that friend that I could divulge this to and get it off my chest. Who was that person for you, Julia?
That person was my grandmother and my mother. And thank God that I had those wise, trusted women in my life that I could go to when something happened and I didn't even know where to even begin or what to do.
Yeah.
And thank God for them, because if I didn't have them in my life, I think my life would have turned out a lot differently. I've gone down some side detour paths, and I'm lucky enough to have those wise, older, trusted figures in my life. Otherwise, I have no idea where I would have ended up. So.
Right. I remember being in high school And I had one of my best friends come to me, and she told me that her father was having sex with her. And this was when she was 15, and that she was so done, she couldn't take it anymore. And so I was that person for her because she couldn't tell her mother. And so she told me, and I encouraged her, and we went to the school counselor and told them that she was being sexually abused by her father, and she needs it to stop. And so that day, the police showed up and spoke with my friend. I stayed with her, and then they went and arrested the father. And though sometimes it could be a friend who could be that advocate for you to help you feel strong enough to speak up. And also out there are groups where you can go get support if you have experienced sexual assaults and sexual abuse.
You don't have anyone.
And you don't have anyone.
Trust.
And it's so important to talk about it, because when you talk about it, you break its power and you heal.
Right.
And there is a virtual survivor support group. I met this lady, Blaze Bell, at the governor's conference, and she's a survivor herself of sexual assault, and she works with STAR, and she has a survivor support group that's online, which I think is awesome. You don't have to leave your home, and you don't have to even participate. You can just listen, but she sits there and holds space for you that you can share if you want to. And if you're interested in that, you can message her for the link for that, and that's at BBELL, that's BBell, at staralaska.org. And I encourage everyone to find your support group or that person.
Well, if you don't talk about, these experiences that you've had, they eat at you. They develop into coping mechanisms, addictions, anger.
Right.
You putting whatever trauma that was done onto you onto other people.
Mm-hmm. And I found that in my personal life, the anger that came out of me all the time, it's basically grief and sadness that all these things happened. But the only way I knew how to get it out was by anger.
Is were you just angry at yourself still?
Yeah, so that's where I would do self-harm. Just really hated myself for allowing those things to happen. I blamed myself years ago for those things. And I think a lot of people with sexual assault blame themselves. Yeah. And I think that's common. But I think if these support groups, we can talk about it and we can actually learn that it's not our fault. We don't ask for this.
Yeah, change the narrative.
Yeah.
And get your power back.
Get your power back.
Redemption.
Well,
Staci, what else are we looking forward to here on the podcast?
Well, I'm looking at some really great speakers coming on. There is a girl who is an Alaskan lady who suffered a lot of trauma from her father. And her book just came out, and it's called Out of the Wilderness. And so I'll be having her on here shortly to tell her story. And it's so powerful to hear where she came from, all that she endured for decades, and then how she escaped. I just love these powerful stories of women being open and honest with the abuse, and then the glorious escape, and then how they've gone on to heal, and then how they're healing and helping others. And I love that it's a movement. I love that people are talking about it and empowering one another. We are empowering other women
to protect themselves.
And other persons just to come forward, protect yourself, say yes, say me too, or say no, that's not right, and you can't do that to me. Let's give them that power. Let's give them the tools that they can stand up for themselves. And if not, let's be their voice.
Amen. Love you, Staci.
Love you too, Julia. Well, Julia, thank you so much for coming on and telling us your story. I love you to death, and I look forward to seeing all the amazing things we're going to do together. If you or someone you know are a victim of sex trafficking or abuse, you may call 1-866-733-7878 or text HELP to 233-733. For local services, here at my house, you may call 373-HELP. That's 373-HELP. Remember, if you see something, say something. This is Redemption, loved and thriving. Until next time.